is live from the stash straight to your vibe. AC Infinity, the name you trust. Cannabis talk, no need to fuss. Knowledge flows like a sweet blunt roll. High vibes and wisdom take control. Let's go from the stash. Highly educational. AC Infinity. Cannabis sensational.
Hey, what's going on?
Phyllis from a
Back
stash.
at it again.
Highly educational.
How you doing,
Highly
boys?
educational.
Man,
Got P going up and down, up, down,
I don't know where he
Up and
is.
up and down, up and down, up and
Up and
down.
up,
down, getting
down, up,
powerful, brothers.
down.
Yeah, just getting everything
Welcome.
tight, everything ready. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Excited for this episode, man. We got some amazing giveaways, of course. We got great conversation, little preview of our pretty cool trip we got coming up here this weekend, and just great vibes, of course. Episode number 7, right?
Number
Seven.
seven. Number
Jeez,
seven, boys.
Episode 7
Pretty
already.
sweet, eh?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
turned out to be a pretty sweet show, if I may.
Oh, I like it.
Shout
Oh, I
out to
like
AC
it.
Infinity for putting us on, believing
Yeah,
in
we're putting
us.
up with this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Shout out to you guys, man. Shout out to everybody for pulling in today. Not a whole lot of heads up. You guys came here. Shout out to the notification squad. We appreciate you. Much love. Show wouldn't be much without you guys. We've got, as Rob said, we've got some things to give away. Hey, I think we got what? We got some store credits.
Yeah, we have 3 of them actually. 100, was it? $100 store credit, which is crazy. We also have some stash blend. We're going to be giving away as well. That's going to be based off of whoever wins, which clearly I'm gonna win a defol off. All right, I have a plant over here.
Default.
It is a lot smaller. AC Infinity wants us to challenge us, and we want to challenge each other. So me and Pigeons are gonna. We're both in the point now where I'm doing some defol. I'm a little bit younger in my phase here, just a little bit of a baby yet. Uh, I've just been busy, just moved. P has a beast, on the other hand. It's an absolute monster, and it's time to do some defoliation or pruning before it's flipped into flower. So the timing is perfect for us to discuss flowering and how to get bigger, better buds.
Flowering. Yeah, and we're going to go into stage weeks 1 through 6. So a big portion of flowering. And then the next episode, we'll do the final weeks of flowering, ripening stages, some people call it, and then harvest, dry, and cure. But yeah, I figured we'd do a whole episode on flowering, all the weeks 1 through 6. But yeah, before you flip to flower, a lot of people do defoliation. So doing a little challenge today. P versus Rob. Defoliation.
Yeah, it's a little D4. I think it's important to do a little D4 and maybe a little context to why we're doing such a thing. I think it's important to give a little D4 before flower because you want to kind of keep as much hands off in flower as possible. You're gonna be doing training anyways. She's gonna start growing out some extra vegetation, but if you can kind of get a good grasp and kind of get a good clearing of that under canopy area, it's gonna set you up for a good step forward for flowering.
Absolutely, man. I think that's the big key is making sure that you set yourself up for success as you transition into flower. You don't put something in that's just wild and needs more time to be worked before you put it in there. It needs to be kind of ready to go off to the races. Now you will still have some more work potentially if you're doing, different kind of training in your garden. But for the most part, this is where you need to shape it and get it right and ready after months potentially of vegging your plant. Now, depending how you're growing, you may have that sea of green, so you don't have it as big. But if you're in the case like Pigeons, he's got some mammoths over there, and he's in Canada, so less plants unless you're a medical patient or caregiver, and it makes it so you want to have them big and hardy. So now is where that time comes into play. Now, you're growing synthetic right now. Are you switching up your nutrients a lot as you're switching into this period?
No, well, I'm going. I'm
Let's
going to
find
switch
out.
from a veg newt to a flower newt. So yeah, I would be switching up the dosages and the concoctions slightly. Yeah, weaning out the nitrogen, ramping up things like your phosphorus and your calcium and magnesium at least for the next 5 to 7 weeks, 6 weeks,
Potassium too.
and the potass. So yeah,
Potass.
you're going to see a slight change. But for me, using synthetic, change what's on the bottle. Keep feeding Stash Blend, and it's a game changer. Stashblend.com.
Freshblend.com/.
That's it.
It
No
Slash.
works.
Wow.
slashes.
That's right. That's right. Not now.
Backslash, front
Actually,
slash, none of that.
I think we've actually got a Labor Day sale. If anyone wants to take care of that code labor, was it? If up until
L-
Thursday tomorrow,
Labor 20?
was it
Labor
Thursday or was it
20.
Tuesday? Yeah, maybe
Probably till Tuesday. So right
it's
now.
probably Tuesday.
Try it
So
out.
enjoy it.
If
Yeah,
it'll
you got
work.
the last couple hours. Yeah.
Yeah. But and here shortly we're gonna start little work. I'm honestly how I'm gonna be doing it is with my fingers because she's young yet.
Mhm.
And P, you're gonna be using shears, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so we'll see who can get it done within the time before we get to the trivia. All right, that's how we'll
Okay.
get her done here.
Okay. All right.
But let's start a little bit in this flowering stage, talking a little bit about the flowering development. So as we are switching into this, that first couple weeks technically is kind of vegging, in my opinion. You know, like the plant's stretching, and you see a massive stretch often as you're switching that light cycle. You're going from 18 and 6 or 24 hours to 12-12, and usually that plant is going to just get lanky and gangly. So training is going to be a factor in this point. Do you guys consider flower with the day you switch to 12-12 in your life cycle? Or do you consider flower? Yeah, you were waiting for that.
The
I knew it.
old debate. Yeah. You probably get pretty split on
I'm a
people
master
who
debater, man.
Go ahead, Chris. Let's fight.
No, I mean, when you're going indoors, when you flip that light cycle to 12-12, some people are going to say that first day hits 12-12 is day one of flower. Others are going to say, no, I'm not going to start count flowering days until the plant's flowering. So they're going to wait 5, 6, 7 days till they actually see the plants flowering. Then they start to count the days. Now, I don't think we're going to solve that debate here today, but for the most part, when I flip to 12-12, I'm usually starting to see pre-flowers anyways on the plants. So normally I'm just counting that as day one.
What
Yes.
you P?
Yep.
Yes.
As soon as I flip to 12, that first day, that's flower. That's flower day one. You know, I put my plants through quite a bit of a training regimen. So to see pre-flowers, you know, week 7, 8, 9, 10 is not unusual. So I'm seeing flowers, late veg. So day one flower is when I switch to 12 and 12.
Yeah. And I think at that point, oftentimes you're switching your light cycle and you may switch the intensity up. You may change up your PPFD or your power. We talked about this before. Your DLI, your daily light, will change. It's going to be less technically because it's less amount of time that the light's on, obviously, but it's going to be more intense within that time period. So oftentimes, if you're using full spectrum LEDs, you can maintain the same light all the way through. But if you're using something like potentially lights that switch from blue to red, you know what I'm saying, or metal halide to high pressure sodium, this is when you're going to switch more to that red side at this point.
Yeah, the old school lights, man, brings back memories having the bloom switch and the veg switch. So it's like,
Yeah.
running both of those. And then we realized that, hey, running both of those throughout the whole grow is the most beneficial. And that's where full spectrum lights started coming out after that. And, yeah,
Yeah.
DLI, we talked about that before, so we won't get too deep into it. But I think 12-12 light cycle is most common. Some people do 11-13. So 11 hours of lights on, 13 hours of lights off. And some people just do a current switch, right? So they'll go straight from their veg light cycle directly to a 12-12 or 11-13. Others will gradually drop the light each day, right? And there are some benefits to that. Some people say it helps with bud density. That is, I had somebody on my podcast before who mentioned that, and I thought that was a pretty interesting one. So yeah, whatever way you go about it, it'll eventually start to flower. I normally do the 12-12, but yeah, it comes down to, and genetics has a factor in it as well.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. P, you just added that Evo 8 into your garden, right? The LED banger. Are you going to use that for veg and flower, or just for veg?
For flower.
For
It's
flower.
going to be for the flower tent. Yep. Flower
Nice,
tent's up
nice.
and ready. Run the Evo 8, baby, and I'm excited about it.
See,
It's
and it's
Brad.
something that powerful, like you can use all the way through, which is beautiful. Obviously, discount code the stash 15, but
Especially
it makes
today.
it. Well, go ahead.
Everything's full spectrum. So, no more switching lights halfway through. No metal no CFLs to MH to CH CMA oh my gosh. CFL?
CMH.
No. CMH. Yeah,
Ceramic
there we
metal
go.
halide.
Yeah, it's so too many letters, MGI.
Yep.
Come on, what have you done?
Acronyms. Come on, MGI.
Come on, boy. We're gonna need to write a book or something. Yeah, no, with most lights coming out full spectrum, it takes the guessing game out of it. You just keep it running all grow along.
Absolutely, man. I think that's a benefit of changing up your light cycle, but not changing up your light when you have a light that's versatile in that sense. And also having that controlled environment, you want to maintain similar temperatures, but your humidity levels are going to shift at this point. You're going to be dropping usually lower. I stay around 40, 45% is traditionally where I'm at when I switch into flower, but it's harder to maintain unless you do have like automation and fully optimized setup. And a grow tent is the easiest in my opinion, but in a room, it's harder to maintain unless it's fully sealed and you do a lot of extra work. That's why some people just they'll flower only in the winter. They won't do any sort of summer growing because of the heat difference, you know?
Yeah, that's you, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I'm usually running about 82 degrees Fahrenheit for the most part. Sometimes it'll go down, 78 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and then I'm in a very dry area, so I need to actually pump in air conditioning, or not air conditioning, pump in humidifier, humidity, try to increase it up. And I'm usually running around 55 to 60%. I go by the Pulse VPD monitor. It's usually 1.2 to 1.4 kPa if we're following VPD. For
Which
those
we
that don't
should.
know, Rob invented VPD. I actually
Oh, yeah,
stole
yeah,
the
like,
idea from
Just
him,
deflect. Just
and now I
deflect.
got credit for it. So
I
He did
stole
steal
the
it.
idea from him. This is where you
I
hear it here
couldn't
first,
afford the
folks. T
patent.
with P tomorrow.
that's an inside
Wow.
joke. It's an inside joke for those that didn't catch on to that.
Don't
That's
be
a good
mad.
one.
It's just a joke.
But yeah, dropping the humidity in flowering is beneficial because you want to avoid mold, right? You don't want to avoid the stagnant air is what will do it. High humidity, stagnant air. You could get powdery mildew, bud rot if the buds are thick enough. So lowering the humidity, that's the main reason why people do that. And then as far as how to get, increase the temperature, if I am running a heater in the wintertime, I do have to put a heater in there to increase the temperature during lights on, usually during lights off, because sometimes the temperature drops so low that it'll be like, I don't know, in the 50s or something like that. And I'd rather increase it and have it kind of be in the 60s, although the plant will be just fine in the 50s. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that desert temperature, man, it's a crazy swing, to have the humidity not ever be a factor of positivity. So you got to add to it always. You know what I'm saying? It's a tough situation. In flower, it's probably a little easier, but at the same time, most of us aren't having to use a humidifier in flower. We only use it in veg. So running into that, you could also have bud rot and mold and issues like that. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but it grosses me out 'cause I'm getting to touch my plants. But I think me and P should start.
I'm ready, baby. Let's do
Let's
it.
do it. Let's do
Let's do
5
it.
minutes. Let's do Chris, if you could do your phone or somebody 5 minutes on the clock. And let's give
5
ourselves
minutes.
5 minutes. See, yeah, 5. Yeah.
Boy, I don't need that long.
Okay.
5 minutes.
You don't need 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What are we
not
gonna do?
the
A
first time I've
stop
heard
clock?
that.
So it just
All right. No,
stopwatch
it's
so it
running.
just
No,
counts
it's
up,
good.
or
Let's
5
get it
minute
going. And we're
countdown?
gonna continue. I could freestyle and keep going with this shit. I know what we're doing. I want to touch on CO2 gently after this. Gently. Ready?
So
Where you at, P?
timer or what?
Yeah. I like that. I like that.
All
And
right,
this is
5
for
minute timer.
educational purposes only.
3, 2, 1, go.
So CO2. A lot of people don't use that when they're in these tents nowadays. And a lot of people indoor nowadays, in my opinion, aren't using it unless they've got HID lighting. Now, if you look at your ambient CO2, I know AC Infinity has got some cool features with that. You can check out, I believe they have a dispersing unit. But realistically, like 1200% at the peak, in my opinion, the peak point of your light, would that ever be a factor? And that's only if you're pushing your plants. Now, if you want to be able to get these bigger buds, pushing your plants is kind of a thing you want to do. That's where crop steering comes into place. And it's like, it's not suggested for everybody, because you can hurt your plants. But at the same time, when we're talking about CO2, if you're in your grow room enough, your ambient CO2 level can usually be where you need, like, what would you say, Chris, like 600, 800, just chilling?
Yeah, for the most part, outside CO2 level is going to be, actually, they can't see your plant, Rob. If you can bring that up a little bit. There we
I'll
go.
sit like this,
Can't
like I'm
cheat
on,
back there, get off camera,
I got my kids working on it too. No, I don't. No.
Outside CO2 is, I think, around 450 ppm. And then when you're growing indoors, one of the benefits, if you're living in the same house, is you're exhaling that CO2. And usually when I go in there and take a look at it, it's usually about 6, 7, 800 roughly. It varies quite a bit. especially as airflow is coming in and out of the tent and all that stuff. But that's usually what I get. And then if you really want to really bulk and have your plants kind of running at full power, would be 1400 ppm of CO2 is generally said in order to kind of get your most bang for your buck. And when you're supplementing the CO2 and when people are really driving after yield, they're going up to that level. And that's one thing that shout out Dr. Bruce Bugbee at Utah State University. They did a study
Hey,
and it showed a 30% increase in yield when they were running a 1400 ppm CO2. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's something that I've tried every now and then. Off and on, I've tried everything from the canisters to the mushroom bags. And, those things work okay. I know there's some people that claim they don't work at all. So take it with a grain of salt. I think the best way is having a tank. You have more control over it. But it's
yeah,
something to me as a home grower. I'm just growing for myself. I don't really supplement CO2 anymore. I don't really need to. I get just fine plant growth with what I have natural levels in here. So
yeah. And I think it's primarily for people who are really wanting to push their plants to the maximum and see if they can get more of a yield. And oftentimes you may be able to, but you may sacrifice other cannabinoids at that same point if you're pushing that plant so far, and especially if the heat's really high. I feel
yep.
like only if you have your heat and your light very intense, that would be the time that you utilize CO2, in my opinion.
Mm.
If you can't change it and CO2 is the only way you can maintain that environment, I'm just using my hands to talk. That'd be best.
Yeah,
You're throwing me
Rob's
off, Chris. This was you did it on purpose.
He's slowing down. Well, I mean, you're the one talking. So we got about a minute and 47 seconds left. For those that are just tuning in, we're doing a little face off here, defoliation, Rob versus pigeons. The reason why I'm not in this is because all my plants are in flower
He
right
doesn't
now,
grow.
which I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. I got some B-roll, which I could show. But yeah, I couldn't take a part of this challenge because I don't have any plants in veg. And we talked about doing defoliation right before flipping to flower. And so I know P's going to be flipping that one to flower pretty soon here. So he's doing a nice strip of it. Rob, you're probably going to veg that for a little while longer, I
Oh yeah,
imagine.
absolutely,
Yeah.
brother. But I'm
Yep.
done.
So just there for examples. And there we go. Rob beat him.
I beat that boy off live.
But P's got another minute and if he wants to finish it up, or he might be
He's gonna
done
pretend
too.
like
I
he
don't
was
know.
done. Yeah, I like
He's
that.
going to pretend like he was
I
done.
like that. It's okay. It's okay. Fine.
There we go. So talk to us. What'd you do, Rob?
So I do the pinch and twist method. You get in there with them fingernails, you get tight, and you do a tight twist and pinch. You got to get as close as you can. That way, the damage that's there can recover easier without there being extra growth there, like a limb just hanging off, little arm, DJ Paul style. So, really, the best option is to have some shears. AC Infinity has some great ones. They're still packed for me, unfortunately, but this works well. And I just drop the top. You know what I'm saying? Little cover crop in there. Gucci. What about you, P?
Yeah.
What you doing?
Well, I got bored about a quarter of the way in because I was done. So I started super cropping,
Mm,
uh, and I decided to super crop every branch all the way up to the top. I think that's really important when heading into flowers to just make sure that this is just something I like to think about is make sure every single branch is ready to support big huge buds. Big huge buds. That's the idea. I want to avoid tiny little buds and I want to promote big buds. And the
Yeah.
best way to do that is to take off that frivolous, that kind of that weak larf growth. So I took off anything that was not going to become a branch in the next 2 weeks of flower stretch. So it came off and I super cropped everything, giving it a good twist throughout my fingers. Also known, I guess, informally or formally as the Cushman chiropractics. He also applies a twist to each and every single branch. At least I think that's the way it is. At least that's the method I like to follow because I'm hoping that each branch, top is going to bear an incredible bounty on it. So I want it to be structured that way, thick
Picker
and
upper
resilient. Yeah.
bounty.
And so these guys did this before flipping the flower, but a lot of folks are doing defoliation and lollipopping and stuff within the first 3 weeks. We kind of touched upon the first 3 weeks of flowering is kind of the stretch phase. The plant's still growing vertically. And then after that, it stops stretching. And then you've got your kind of, I think most people call it bulking phase, where it's like weeks 4 through 6 is bulking, and then weeks 7 and 8 is ripening. Now that's for an eight weeker, right? 8 week cultivar, something that's going to be harvested in week 8. Now you could come across a 12 weeker, which I came across one. Well, I came across several, but one in particular that I remember, I didn't really realize that it was a 12 weeker until I got to week 4 and it was still stretching. So like my stretch period went through week 4 and I'm like, what the heck, slow down. I'm running out of room. So it was a 4 week stretch. And then you went from weeks 5 to 10 of bulking and then the final weeks as ripening. So really depends on, how long those genetics are to flower for. And that's one key thing. I mean, just find that out before you even before you even plant the plant, because you want to plan for it. Don't make the mistake that I did with it was actually Hades Throne by Zaza Genetics. Shout out Zaza.
Oh,
Yeah, and
shit.
you know what? Something like that can put a distaste in your mouth for the rest of your grow. It's I had I grew a Maui Wowie. Same thing. It's 12, 13 weeks, and I didn't know that. And now my preference to grow a Maui Wowie is like, man, nah, because it's just
I am for GMO. I want to smoke it, but I don't want to grow it. Like, my God, dude. 13 weeks is what it took me to have mine ripe. 13 weeks. That's how I know when I go other places and somebody has GMO. I'm like, you just pulled it early. Like, I know right away. Immediately. Swank's the only one that I've ever was like, because every other one is just pulled too early. And that's the problem is you can get big buds and pull it early, but they're not going to swell up in the trichome department. And with terpenes and other cannabinoids, you need it to mature properly. So I think that's where there's a lot of balances that come into it as you're in the flowering phase. And if it's a very long flowering plant, you may sacrifice that point because you don't want to wait. It just sucks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Now,
I think we should jump into a trivia. We're pretty fun on the show and giveaway too. We need to pick somebody there. We'll do that after this giveaway.
Yeah.
So,
Sounds
bang,
good.
bang, bang, bang.
What we got?
So what's
Thanks,
the
man.
first?
Pull
What's
that
the
up there.
first
Let's
question
check.
we have?
So this one is pretty straightforward for those of you who've been listening or been growing for a while. And honestly, I think that if you have any plant knowledge, you should know. Wink, if you want to pull up the first question. Well, that'd be excellent. So, this element is needed less during flower. Is it A, phosphorus, B, potassium, C, magnesium, or D, nitrogen? Drop the letter in the chat. It's either A, B, C, or D. Enter to win.
All I got to do is put the letter.
Just
You guys are crazy. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sorry, bro.
And I know some people might be seeing this question, be like, "Oh, geez, elementary." Just a reminder, this is kind of like a beginner type show, kind of more geared towards beginners. So we'll start with the elementary stuff. What'd you say?
Not everybody's as smart as Chris. Okay, like we're working on it.
As we go along here and continue to do these episodes, we can get into a little bit more intermediate type stuff.
Yeah, that's the idea. Start off as a series, right?
Elementary. Boom.
That's right.
Play on words
start
there.
somewhere. Thank you everybody for participating. Now that you saw the answer, putting in an answer doesn't help anymore.
Kind of
It has
does.
to be
we got
before.
the kid running it. Sid the kid is running it to pick the winner.
Well, it's Nightbot, isn't it?
Nightbot. But somebody has pressed the button.
Press the button.
Oh, I see. Before. Oh,
pressing it.
I see.
Chris Kelly has won the giveaway.
Chris Kelly.
Email giveaways at acinfinity.com.
Congrats.
You just won yourself. I don't know what the camera is. You just won yourself a $100 gift card, brother.
Congrats.
Oh, that's
pretty
awesome,
sweet.
man. Yeah, I think that's the thing a lot of people don't realize. You're running an organic soil and you've got it rich with nutrients. It may be a little too much for flipping into flower if you didn't deplete it properly. And that's where sometimes bottled nutrients are easier in that sense because you just switch from your bloom or your veg to your bloom. You don't have to think about the elements that you're putting in there. So that's just kind of why I figured we'd toss that one in.
And you should totally watch out for it because you can be toxic in nitrogen. And if you go into flowering, mid-flowering, and you have nitrogen toxicity, you're going to see the buds become more airy. You're going to see kind of things kind of stretch out, more leaf to bud ratio. Like it's not good at all. I had a plant many years ago, several plants where I overfed. And at week 5, week 6, I was like, what is wrong? This doesn't look right. Is it the genetics? No, come to find out I overfed and there was no rebounding. You know what I mean? I couldn't just cut back on the newts or flush because you're already in week 5. You're already mid flowering. I was coming up towards the ripening stage, and then so I flushed and brought it the best I could. And when I harvested, it was not good smoke at all. And
Yeah.
I tried to deal with it. I actually did make dry ice hash out of it, but the rest of it, most of it, just got thrown away. To be honest, it was just
Mm.
disgusting. So yeah. And one other thing to add on that before I pass the mic is one major culprit of it is CalMag. And you hear about CalMag being calcium, magnesium. Well, there's actually a little bit of iron there. There's also some nitrogen in a lot of them, if you look at the back of the bottle. So that's a way that nitrogen can sneak into your regimen there, right? So you're feeding your base nutrients, adding the CalMag. Well, some people cut off CalMag in the beginning weeks so they don't run into nitrogen toxicity. So something to keep an eye on is, if you are using CalMag, take a look at the back of the bottle. Does it have nitrogen in it at all? If so, just be aware you might need to cut back in some other areas with the base nutrients, for example.
Smart,
Absolutely, man. I think that's
smart.
where there's other things you can add at this point, but taking away is a big focus also, as you're switching up because you don't want to have this plant still thinking it's vegging, but you're forcing the flowering situation to change it into flower. So you just got to ride the wave properly. That's where, utilizing beneficial bacteria and microbes, enzymes, things like that is really useful at this point as well because you can have that like gut health for your plant optimized properly. So it can uptake your food good. You can utilize products like Stash Blend. It's a great option there. And silica even at this point. So do you fellas still continue silica and flower?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Throughout the
Yep.
whole
No
grow.
reason.
Maybe share a little bit why it's beneficial even in flower.
Go ahead, Chris. Nobody believe me anyway.
The long
Nobody
list
believe
of
us if we don't
things
say it.
prevents, helps with the cell wall, the structure, prevents what's called lodging, which is kind of like the flopping over of the buds. It just kind of builds up that strength. It helps with resistance to disease, resistance to pests. Let's see what else. It strengthens like the trichomes. Like one of the most interesting things I've seen is there was an electron microscope of a trichome, a plant that was fed with silica, and then right next to a fed plant that wasn't had silica, and just the structure of the trichome was more thicker, robust. And so that once I saw the actual visual of what silica was doing, been in my regimen ever since. So yeah, those
Okay.
are the main things I can think of off the top of my head as far as benefits. But it's one of the most widely studied elements. It's non-essential, so it's not needed, but it's super beneficial.
Yeah, I
100%.
think that's go for it.
And that's why we stuck it in Stash Blend because we had the option. We actually thought about it too, but then realized there was no reason why it shouldn't be in there. It didn't conflict with anything. It needed to be involved. And that's we were like, no brainer. Yeah, it has to be there. These are definitely, this is definitely an advanced nutrient regimen. To say too that nutrients and what you're feeding is the only element that matters is I don't want to set that kind of idea because you can have the best food, you can be using Stash Blend, but if you don't have all the variables kind of in a row and kind of locked in before that point, you're going to struggle. One of the most common things I see that it leads to underwhelming buds is actually the light and the distance away from it. Now, I know that kind of segues away from where we are, but when we're talking about bud development and kind of getting big buds, really light placement is huge because you can have great nutrients, but I just feel like if your light's too high, your plant is stretching and it's using the energy that it should be using to create buds on stem stretch. So lighting is very important along with the environment in general, but I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chris, your lighting was looking great, man. You want to maybe show some beautiful plants?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I got some plants in flowering right now. It's all I've got, and I've got some B-roll here, which I can show you guys what I got growing on right
Take it to the
now.
tent,
Take
baby.
it to the tent, baby. Show the
So these
ACI.
are Chiloto G, 3 Chiloto G females. They're on day 22 of flower. So we actually just finished the stretch period on them. Canopy kept even for the most part. There was one branch that kind of really stuck up there, but it's looking really good so far. All three of the plants. They are being fed Blue Planet nutrients. They're on an auto watering system, Blue Mat. You can see the temperature sensor right there, temperature and humidity right in the middle of the canopy is when I'm grasping it. but they look good so far. I don't really have any support on them. This particular cultivar, the Chilled OG, is I don't really need much support for the branches. I found, unless it's kind of leans towards the brisker side, then things will be kind of flopping all over the place. This right here is Cali Critical Mass by Seedsman. So this is actually day 34, so a little bit more advanced than the Chilled OGs. Real big chunky bud structure on this. It's really swelling up pretty quickly here. Day 34, I'm pretty happy. You can see the lighter there, kind of showing you a comparison of what it looks like there on day 34. So not bad, not bad at all. And that one's fed with organic inputs. So I started off with Kiss Organics nutrient pack. I amended the soil with that, and then every 30 days I've been doing Build a Soil Craft Blend. So organic fertilizer, all natural fertilizer, and yeah, really happy with how I'm seeing things there right now.
Looking good, man. Looking damn good. I think that's where again all of the stuff that we preach, practice what you preach. You put that into place. That's a big option. Supporting the branches is a big thing, but you know your genetics, so you're not doing it as much. This is where if you were going to do it, you can utilize a trellis. Oftentimes with the grow kits, they come with a trellis, which is easy to use. Or you can utilize the screen and green technique, which you should have probably already done that before you got to this far where Chris is. But there still is an option to do a little bit of moving and tucking to maintain the structure and to also have some support for the branches. But oftentimes you'll see people just using the bamboo sticks. And that for years was the go-to until I almost poked myself in the eye. And then ever since then, I was like, never again. Like I hated it. It's horrible. But a lot of people still to this day use them.
Yeah, I use them in emergency situations. So coming up towards the end of flowering, and I start to see that branch flop over, I'll stick a stake right in there and have a plant clip to the stake to make sure that that branch isn't flopping over for the final weeks. That's usually what I'm doing for the most part. Sometimes I'll add a trellis. I know P uses a trellis, the scrog technique. It definitely helps with the support. Some people use the yo-yos that hang down from the top. I think that's the name of the brand. I think is Yo-Yo Plant. I forget exactly what it's
Yeah, it's
called, but
crazy that they have a
Yo-yos.
brand name of what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
but they come right down and attach the buds to kind of keep them upward. But it is definitely something you need to be concerned about. Tomato cage, I use those on kind of long, lengthy. I had Brisker OG. I used a tomato cage on. It worked really well because those branches just all of them just flop all over the place towards the end of flowering there. So there's plenty of different things you can use to support branches, but that's definitely something you want to consider when you're planning. When you're going throughout the flowering stage, is how are you going to support those heavy branches?
Yeah. I don't have anything intelligent to add, so I'm gonna say this. I you wonder what I'm gonna say next, huh? I used to use bamboo sticks. However, then I realized that they can be a source of pests. They kind of be like something that pests are attracted to. Now, I don't have any
Living in them?
experience with it. Yeah, like they love the wood. They like the wood, but I don't have any experience with this myself. So I kind of just want to like just toss it out there, and then maybe anyone else has had experience, they can touch on it, and maybe in the comments section, and have an opportunity to win something later on. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that if you can use some kind of like I don't know, some other object, like a tomato cage. I actually at one time used a tip pot, which was like a hockey
Oh
stick
yeah,
with
it was
like clothes
crazy.
hangers hanging off the
I remember
side
that.
almost. Yeah, and that was really cool. You can just about use anything to hold it up. So yeah, consider that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a grow tent, it's a lot easier because you can even tie it to the sides. There's a lot of different options, but making sure that you're training your plant so it's strong enough that it won't flop over like this, utilizing silica. These are big factors that'll come into play if you do have something that yields heavy. Because I mean, something we touched on earlier on in the series is picking good genetics, and that's really the biggest factor. You're not going to have massive buds on every cultivar. Just isn't the case. Some strains just really don't slap those massive buds. You can push them more, but some just don't stack the same as others. And that's a big factor going into it. You can only push it so much. Sometimes you'll end up getting more of a foxtaily, like weird fingery gangly bud because you've pushed it so much and it's like it exploded, it looks like. It's weird. And that stuff always tastes like mute to me. I don't know.
Kind of like I have a feeling that's going to happen on the Cali Critical Mass that I just showed. Is it looks like it's starting to kind of foxtail or the buds aren't kind of uniform, you know what I mean? But that's just how some grow, and foxtailing can happen. Some genetics due to the heat. So if it's real high heat, now I'm running about 82 Fahrenheit. I should be okay, but some genetics will foxtail at that. Also, the amount of IR. If there's and we mentioned this, I think, in a past episode. I think when we talked about
Infrared?
lighting, but excess IR can contribute to foxtailing as well. So something to keep in mind. Like the old ES300 LED grow lights by the Green Sunshine Company had a lot of IR in the version one, and it just everything was foxtailing. So I'm glad they reduced that on V2.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think a lot of companies will maybe utilize in a big greenhouse, like in a massive space where they can have the light way further away. Like I see that for outdoor commercial spaces often, but we're in grow tents. You know what I'm saying? Having the bar lighting and the style that we do that doesn't have too much of the IR. That maybe if anything you add in UVB. Is there anything that you guys have ever messed with? Is incorporating that into your grow and all? Allegedly you can increase your cannabinoids, increase your trichomes, and it's something that I feel is taboo for some people, and others they'll utilize something like Micro's UV light. They'll just toss that in for a couple hours at the end of the grow, like the last 3 weeks, maybe 2 hours a day, hour a day, and that's the time that they're going to essentially finish that plant off and add extra to it. And it's not for everybody, but if you can integrate it, it could be a big benefit.
Yeah.
And enhancing the resin production. A lot of people, do various things. You mentioned UV. One of the things that I like to do, and somebody might laugh at this, but I swear by it, is kind of the wind, the air circulation. The wind is hitting the front plants, I should say. Like I noticed the frostiness level is what I'm trying to say. It was, but when there's direct air on these, you'll see more frostiness versus plants that are kind of away from that. And I think it's just a stress response type thing. Now, as far as retaining the resin, retaining the terpenes, and so on and so forth, current studies are coming out that it's best to lower the temperature towards the end of flowering, right? So those final weeks, the ripening weeks, dip down 80 or dip down to 75 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and that'll help retain, because we know that the higher the temperature, the more the terpenes are going to potentially volatilize and just kind of be eliminated. That's why when you have high temps and you open up that door, for example, uh, you'll just smell so much of it. It's just the terpenes coming off
Yeah.
there. So lowering that temp is going to help retain some of the terpenes in the final weeks of flowering.
Just getting a
100%.
little dab there, a little aromatherapy going into your girl, like, oh, it smells so good. It's like, yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Gone.
And I've had people say, if you don't flush your plant, you're not gonna have good terps too. Is that something total bro science? Have you guys heard anything of that? And that this is towards the end. We'll have a whole episode talking about harvesting and finishing it, but just a quick touch on it. Is this something that would be a part of the flavor or the finishing process to make your bud better at all?
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to
Sure.
argue that it's going to have some
I
impact.
like
Of
that.
course it will. Of course it will. It's a hill I die on. No, yeah, I think that in the same way that you shouldn't have too much or too little throughout the entire process, the very same thing goes for when you go to harvest. You shouldn't have too much of anything. You shouldn't have too little either. It's not going to do you any benefits. So this is why generally you're going to wean off your nutrients towards the last 7, 12 days, 14 days. If you can get it that long, you're going to wean off your nutrients and you're kind of generally going to see that fade. So, yeah, I do think it's important to time when and how much nutrients you have by the time you get to end of flower. Chris?
And the whole flushing technique, I just laugh these days because it's like, what are you talking about when flushing? Are you talking about just dialing back the nutrients and just doing a water only for the last couple weeks? Some people consider that a flush. Other people consider that a leach. Uh, Other people consider a flushing when you're just dumping gallons of water through the medium and letting it flush through the medium. Usually the rule of thumb is like double the amount of gallons of your grow pot, right? You have a 5-gallon grow pot. You want to put 10 gallons of water in there a couple weeks before harvest. So I've done all those things, and to be honest with you, I've cut back on nutrients and stuff like that. There have been studies in regards to flushing. There's been a couple of them. One that comes off the top of my head is Arc Screen Technologies. They did it back in 2020, if I remember correctly, and they found no difference between flushed and unflushed buds. Now they did have a panel of people who were taste testing or whatever, and I believe that that weighed more towards the unflushed buds. But the thing with this particular study is it was by a nutrient company. So of course they don't want you to flush the buds, right? They want you to feed all the way up until the end. Now, I actually did a video on this several years ago, and I put in the thumbnail, flushing proved beneficial. And the takeaway was it's beneficial in your wallet if you don't flush because you're not spending money on nutrients. So I played devil's advocate on that one. But yeah, as far as flushing, I personally just dial back the nutrients. I'm not doing a run through of water in the medium before harvest, especially not with the organics, right? I was talking synthetics only. With organics, you're doing that top dressing. You're not doing any, I don't do any sort of flushing before harvest at all with organics, but synthetics, I usually just dial back these days. So
Yeah, and I kind of want to be really clear though, because like the thought and the process and the science around this conversation has evolved dramatically in the last 36 months. That's 3 years. 3 years that conversation has changed so much. Forget about 5 or 10 years. Because there was a time where I also believed, according to my nutrient regimen, that I was supposed to flush my weed. It was something that I believed wholeheartedly that was great. Why? Because not only was I doing it, but it was kind of working. The weed that I was getting at the end was kind of great. But once I realized that you should continue to use nutrients right up until, but it's the amount is key. That's why when you're using Stash Blend, we recommend that you wean off after week 6, because inside that pot,
If it's a
there's
9-weeker.
still, if it's a 9-weeker, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, thank you. Is because there's still work being done inside that pot. There's still the bacteria is still working, still trying to collect and disperse, and that's exactly what you want to happen. A flaw that I suffered from was harvesting too early and depleting the nutrients too early before I harvested. I just want to make that very clear.
Yeah, that's a common thing people do. I think if anything, that's a part of the harvest process. It's not a part of getting better bud process. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that qualifies with you got to do this if you want to have better, more terps, more trichomes, bigger buds, in my opinion.
and we're going to get deeper into like the final weeks of flowering in the next episode here. We're going to go into the final weeks of flowering, and then also kind of get into harvest, dry, and cure coming up here in the next episode. But yeah, figured why not touch
Give
upon
away,
flushing here on
give
this one. So
away.
always a fun topic to cover.
Yeah.
100%. And there's always going to be questions, and I think it's important, and I think it's okay for people to ask them and to try to find the results that work best for them. Because the way that I can say this so confidently is because I did it wrong for so long, and then I realized once I made the change how great things really were afterwards. So you'll see it too. You'll see it too, just through trial and error.
Yeah.
But one thing you definitely want to make sure of as you're going throughout the flowering stage, you still want to check for pests, right? You don't want to fall off your daily routine or every other day, whatever, however often you check for pests. Typically, they say do it every day, every other day. Check for pests, check for mold. That's another thing you want to look at because, like I mentioned earlier, if you have that stagnant air and high humidity, that could be bud rot in the middle. And one telltale sign of it, you really got to look closely into the buds to find out because it's within the buds. You'll see if you have leaves coming out of the buds and they start to yellow from the petiole, from that branch coming out, and then the leaf starts to, from the bottom up yellow. That's a potential sign of bud rot. So you got to look in that particular area to see, hey, is there any mold in there as well? So definitely just wanted to mention that because eh, you know towards the end kind of get lackadaisical. You know what I mean? You take the foot off the gas pedal in a sense. You think everything's good, but still do your checks and make sure everything is good.
Amen to that.
Yeah,
And
100%.
also,
Now's not a time to let your gas off or sorry, let your
don't
foot
let
off
your
the
gas
gas.
off, brother.
Don't let
Don't
your
let your
gas
gas
out.
off, boy. Yeah.
So
Don't
we're
let your
wrapping towards the end of the show here. Let's do a back to back on these last 2 trivia questions. I mean, we could talk a little bit about our weekend. We got a wild weekend,
Yes.
boys.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yeah,
So we want to
100%.
pull up the next one here. This one we talked about a little earlier on. Believe it or not, it may be obvious to some. It may not be to others because Pigeons actually was just recently live and was doing a whole breakdown. But what type of light does Pigeons use in flower? Is it A, CMH, B, HPS, C, flowering lamp, or D, LED?
So later. I sit next to it with a flashlight, buck naked, singing nothing but kumbaya songs, boss. Yeah, you
Is
better
this the
answer
second one? This is the
HPS.
second one I sent you in?
This is only the second one. Yep.
Answers are
alright.
flying in now.
Flying ball,
Here
flying ball.
we go.
Boom. Oh,
I doubled up on this one here. That's wrong.
well, this is why all my weed sucks, ladies and gentlemen.
That is wrong. That was my bad. I doubled up
D
on
is
that.
the right answer. D is the right answer.
But we're still gonna pick from that.
You're
We're
not
still gonna pick
supposed.
from that.
You're not supposed to use metal or CMH. Shit, I had it wrong all these times. Damn.
Pigeons has been LED for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what
long.
it is.
Yeah, since
That
like
was on me. First day of
2015.
school for the kiddos of the year, and I was me labeling it incorrect. My bad.
Dirt
Instead, if
Demon
you
has
could
won the
run
giveaway.
Dirt Demon?
Dirt
He was in the
Demon.
Growers Gauntlet. Funny enough.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Dirt
Congratulations.
He should have been using CMH and then switched to the Evo 8, but instead he was using LED, then switched to LED.
Yep.
It would have been
Yep.
a cool story.
Imagine that.
Would have been a cool story. Shout out to
It's
Sid
just
the
a
Kid
wee
for being on top
lass.
of it anyways. Shout out to
Discovered
Dirt
LED.
Demon. Email giveaways at acinfinity.com. Do a little screenshot of your name up here at the top. I know who you are, but just do it for AC Infinity. Make it kosher there. But you got a $100 gift card, bud. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Nice, brother. Well done, man. Well done. Congratulations.
So the next one, hopefully this one is right. Yes, it is. All right. So
Perfect.
Wink, if you want to pull this next one up here.
Pull it up.
This one is maybe a little tougher. All right.
A little bit more.
So
Let's
it's the
make it
final
tough.
question here. This technique is often utilized during harvest. Is this A, low stress training, B, flushing or leaching? Is it C, a kimura, or is it D, foliar feeding? Drop it in there. Drop it in there. Let us know. A, B, C, or D.
You know, as we kind of sit here and we wait for them to give their answers, I just kind of want to just touch on the environment real quick because we're going to end up having a. What? Sorry?
Touch the environment.
Well, I just wanted to
Touch
with the humidity and the temperature, because it does change gradually as you go from veg to flower.
Oh
Did we
yeah, and even
seriously
as you
talk-
switch, I talked about
Oh.
that, but we got B. The answer is B.
B, they were listening,
Or leaching.
people.
You were listening.
listening.
You were listening. This isn't a flowering technique. If anything, it would be a harvesting. If anything, and I guess to maybe recover a plant. Would you say? Do you ever
Oh yeah, yeah.
flush in flower? I'm always scared to ever consider that.
Oh, in flower?
Yeah,
Were you
Gotta
just
do what you gotta
attacked?
do.
my cat's
being
over here
attacked?
on the plant.
Rob's being attacked right now, ladies and gentlemen.
The plant turned alive.
We have a government operative.
It's a government op with no tail.
Wow, Goku.
Get out of here.
The winner,
Okay.
Gorilla Dough.
Gorilla
Dough.
Dough.
Congratulations.
Dough.
Appreciate you, man. You won $100 AC Infinity gift card. Email giveaways at acinfinity.com. Little screenshot to prove it just cuz you killed it, man. AC Infinity. Shout out to you guys. Much love.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah,
We
just
have
real quick. I just wanted to touch on because maybe we did. Maybe we did.
Yeah, we didn't let you speak. Hashtag.
Yeah, we
let
didn't let
pigeons
you give your
speak.
spot.
Oh, no, that's fine. Okay, if you guys touched on it, I don't want to repeat what you guys said. I'm
Well,
sorry.
what do
I
you
was
do
zoned.
in flowering?
What do you do? Yeah.
What do you
Who are
do?
you?
We all do it
What
different.
do you? Oh, I do the same thing as you guys because I ride your coattails, boys, motherfuckers.
Way to do it. It's the way to do it.
It's the way to do it, man. It's the way to do it. No, hell yeah, great show, boys. Great show, and
So this weekend though, boys, what are we doing?
man,
this
we've got
weekend?
big things.
Dude, the Growers Gauntlet. Sesh, the biggest sesh around. This is probably the coolest thing I've seen going on in the community as just a give back. You know what I'm saying? There's no extra attached thing. You're not pulling up to a timeshare. We're just partying and kicking it, man. It's gonna be a great time to celebrate the champion, Cannabis Luke. Homie wrecked it,
Cannabis
man.
Luke,
Wrecked it.
congratulations.
Killed
Yeah,
it.
there was over 500 people that originally participated, joined the Discord, got involved. For it to dial down to one person, and this person grew some of the dankest weed well, wasn't some of it one.
He had a
It was
chill
the
out OG.
dankest weed.
Team Grow It.
Yeah. How could he not? How could he not? No, hats off, man. Hats off.
My friend.
There were a
this
lot
Saturday-
of incredible gardens. Go
Oh,
ahead.
it was unbelievable. Yeah, he did a really great job on it too. I mean, the pictures and videos speak for themselves. And he was all over Instagram posting stuff. But yeah, this Saturday, the 7th, right? Is it the 7th? Saturday
Yeah,
the 7th in
Saturday
LA.
the 7th in
We will
LA,
all be
undisclosed
there.
location.
I think we have some invites left. We might have some invite. I
Get a
don't
little
know.
bit. Hit up AC Infinity on Instagram. They got a post. Go and be talk there and check it out. We got a lot of great people going to be there. It's us three, of course. AC Infinity is going to be in the house. Northern Scrogger, I Can THC, Dusa. I heard the homies DGC are going to be in the house. We got our boy Swank
Damn.
pulling up. Some stupid from his homie I'm Bay. We got Dab Bar. We got the High Rise crew's going to be there. We got Zaza pulling up. Bro, it's crazy. More people, 420 things, man. So many people. So shout out to everybody. Chubbs, I believe, is gonna be there. It's gonna be amazing, man. Shout out to everybody who's pulling up. Let us know. Saul, more people. If you're watching this back, let us know how dope this
Astro's
was.
gonna
And
be there.
'cause you probably
420
watched it on
thing.
Sunday.
Mama Kush. Yeah, it's gonna be a great
Kush
time. I'm
too.
super super stoked.
Yeah,
Great
man.
time. Now it's a great opportunity for I don't know. I think this is another one of those monumental times where it's like shout out
Monumental
to
tone, man.
monumental tunes. I'm Canadian. You guys might not understand the language I speak. It's different up
Sure.
here.
It's your native tongue.
But we I remember when we went to Vegas and shout out to Soul Brother. I saw him in the chat. Boy, what's up? I remember when we went and we did the pimp my grow, pimp your grow,
Pimpin'
pimp the
since
grow,
pimpin',
pimp a
pimpin'.
grow. Pimp has been pimping since pimp's pimping. And
Mhm.
that was an incredible feeling. That was really cool to be able to just retrofit, just take someone's life and just spin it, man. And I think it's fair to say that the same thing's going to happen to Luke, man. Flying out to LA with him, and I'm assuming he's bringing the missus, but maybe his best
Yep.
friend too,
Yep.
whatever. To come and hang out and to smoke and to party and to have a great time, man. That sounds awesome, man.
Oh,
And
yeah, dude.
I'm honored to be a part of something like that. Shout out to ACI for making stuff like that happen. Shout
And shout out
to
to Grower's
Seedsman,
House
shout to
and
Grower's
Stash Bill
House.
Season. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wicked, man.
Hell
Making
yeah,
it
dude.
all happen.
It's gonna be an amazing time, and I can't wait to kick it with you boys. It's been a while,
Yeah.
I think collectively we may get in a little trouble up there, but we're gonna try to be on our P's and Q's.
Again?
We're gonna try to be good guys, right?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely not gonna be pulling over to help some lady with the hood up on her car
No.
and a short skirt.
Lesson learned.
Nope. Lesson
Nope.
learned.
I'm
Almost
not gonna
lost
be
my life.
scooting down Skid Row like we did last time. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
Good thing
real
those
quick,
things
I
have some
did
speed.
win. I did win faster default B, by the way, and my boy Syntax has been in the chat all night. So I think we should send him some stash blend. All night he's been there showing love. He was bored as hell. He found the show. He said, "Whoa, AC Infinity, how amazing! They make a show. They got from the stash on there. What?"
Only because he's a cool dude.
He's a great guy. So Syntax, you got yourself some stash blend. Hit me up. You got me on Discord or email me. You should have my email. Send me information. We'll get you some out ASAP.
Congrats. And there will be one additional winner of $100 score credit in the comments section. So if you're watching the replay, comment down below. Let us know why you should be chosen for the $100 store credit. And yeah, leave some positive vibes down there. I love reading the comments there and gets me all fired up for the next episode. So thanks for everyone who leaves those positive comments for us.
Yeah, and we
Yeah,
always
man.
want to hear about like what you have to add to the conversation in regards to anything what we're talking about. If you have anything that you want to add to in regards to the beginning weeks of flower, bring it to the conversation, bring it to the table because it is a massive conversation to try to take that and to crunch it down into an hour's time is incredibly tough. There's a lot to dive into. So if there's more, and of course we're going to be diving into more of it as the time goes on, but if there's anything you want to kind of get flushed out in the comment section, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a quick preview of the next episode. Just like all these episodes, we continue through. If you started growing when we were starting our last plants, essentially right now we're gonna go from flowering and skipping past where you already are. We're gonna start talking about the end of this. So it'll get you ready and prepared, essentially what to do in the final stages and when things are getting to that point. The ways to identify to pull it properly to get the most terps out of it and to have the best quality flower.
Right.
We'll definitely be going over cool things.
If you recall, these are the plants that Rob, Chris, and I planted at the very beginning of this episode. This is kind of a grow along. So if you've been growing along with us, we want to hear from you and kind of hear how your journey's been as well. ACI's got a Discord. We've got a Discord. So if that's something that you want to share with us, we'd love to hear from you because
Yeah.
we're doing it too. This is the plant that I pruned anyways. That's this one.
This
That-
plant was stunted because I went to Canada for a week.
That's the girl that we planted earlier in the year, or earlier in the year. Yeah, like 2 months ago. I
I
don't
think
even
earlier
remember,
in the
man.
season.
Season.
You
Thank
said
you.
Pigeon said episode. It was beginning of the episode. We planted these.
Oh, and then
Yeah.
through the magic of Hollywood, here we are.
Absolutely. So
Shout out to Disney for sponsoring. This is Warner Brothers Studios. We appreciate you guys.
And don't
So, yeah,
forget, guys, stashblend.com. If you didn't win, stashblend.com, get that. The Stash is the coupon code there. Anything off of AC Infinity's website, the Stash 15, that'll work. I believe that works on Amazon as well as their website. So pick up some equipment and use that discount code. Save a little bit of coin.
yeah, if you missed the Labor Day sale, it's crazy, man. It was 20% off.
Yeah. And I think they have till the end of the day, end of the
Yeah.
night. And we'll see if anyone got back to work in time. You might be able to sneak it through after midnight. Let's see.
Okay,
Let's
that's
see.
awesome,
So
man.
yeah, Labor
So
20 for Stashblend, stashblend.com. Appreciate it. Of
Yeah.
course, we also have oh yeah, that's a beautiful shirt there too. I didn't even realize how
I
convenient
got
I
the
was
Stash
wearing
Blend
it.
shirt.
That's right. One of a kind. Can't get that yet.
Merch.com also. We're going to be relaunching that with a bunch of new gear this year, so check that out. And then
Yes.
all things from the stash at fromthestash.com. Follow us on social media, check it out, stay up to date. We will be doing these every other week. Even if you don't see the post right away, everybody's busy, man. AC Infinity's killing it, doing a million things, especially with these events. So it may be the day of. If you're not subscribed and you're not following, you won't see the updates. So make sure you're staying up to date. And yeah, with that being said, it's your boy
Hold
Rob.
on. Tomorrow,
Oh,
you got
oh,
Tea with
Tea with
P
P.
tomorrow, Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central. Make sure you tune in for that. Got an incredible guest, tons to talk about. Thursday, highly uncensored is going to be live. The finale, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna want to tune in for that. That's forgot the time. Insert time here, please.
1 p.m. Eastern Standard.
1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I
So you're gonna
forgot
want to see
about
that.
that.
That's Thursday. Okay. Thursday.
Yeah.
Big.
Third team and
So
get with
tune in.
me. I got you, brother. But yeah,
Okay.
with that being said, like I was saying,
You saying it now?
we got content coming, of course. Chris has Garden Talk this weekend, Saturday. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Even though we're going to be
Every
gone and
Saturday.
busy. And then we've got a new episode of From the Stash on Sunday. So make sure you check it out. Tomorrow, yeah, there's the AMA and Discord
After
for the
Dark.
After Dark crew. Check that out as well. They got a trip going on to Humboldt. It's going to be a banger. Stay up to date on that. And you could get a little more intimate in there in the
Sweet.
stage.
Sweet.
Yeah. So with that being said, it's your boy Rob from COTV, Mr. Grow It, Pigeon for 20. We ain't got no ones and twos. Appreciate AC Infinity. Much love. Y'all have a great night. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.